Hello and welcome to a new video, and today we're gonna take a look at one of the bulkiest Pokemon ever, Carbink. As you can see here, even a Solar Beam from Porygon Z was still not enough to take it down. This Pokemon is now newly released. You can only get it if you pay for the not in-person GoFest event, which you can currently buy for like I think 16 euro in the shop or whatever. You're gonna get this quest for this Pokemon, and honestly, it's sad to say, it is worth it. This Pokemon is now at rank 1 on PvPoke, so like it's rank 1 out of all Great League Pokemon. It is the best Great League Pokemon right now, which is wild. And it is usually supposed to be XL, of course. It's literally just got released for me for an hour ago, and we're going to try it out here in the Open Great League, of course, against some viewer battles. But this is, of course, a Pokemon that needs XL candy, and I actually feel like it was worth it to power this Pokemon up, already to use it, because we have now a 1374 CP Pokemon here, which is still wrecking the entire meta. You're going to see it in the video, definitely stay tuned for that. This Pokemon is insane, it surprised me. Like, honestly, I didn't think it would be as strong as it was, but this Pokemon is amazing. I can highly recommend you to get one. It is kind of sad that it's pay to win. It's going to be most likely available more wider in after the season here right now. But right now, the only way to get this Pokemon is basically by going to an in-person GoFest or going for, or like getting the research for this Pokemon through the normal GoFest ticket. But yeah, it's currently rank 1 on PvPoke, and there is a good reason for this. This Pokemon is able to beat a ton of Pokemon right now, being even able to beat Medicham, which is wild as a Rock-type Pokemon. Here, by the way, I make a huge mistake. I was thinking that I'm most likely going to be able to farm down the opponent at this point of time, as you're going to see here right now, with just my counters, but of course, they're going to survive with exactly 1 HP, which is completely ruining my game plan. I'm going to completely destroy my game in general right now. But that's for that. But yeah, in general, this Pokemon is insanely strong. You're going to see it over and over again. Super effective moves don't seem to be super effective. They just do neutral damage or whatever. It is insane how bulky this Pokemon is, but it still packed a punch. This Pokemon still destroyed a ton of Pokemon as well, just because a Rock Throw is doing a ton of damage, as well as a Rock Slide being a very decent charge move, and Moonblast, great coverage as well. Double stab on everything there, which is something that, for example, Bastion doesn't have. It has stab on the Rock type moves, but it doesn't have any Steel type move that usually people run. It would learn Flash Cannon, but nobody runs that. But this Pokemon itself is just such a meta breaker. You're going to see it all over again. Here we're going to have some spicier stuff as well. I know that he's always running some spice. We're going to have some Rufflet here, which is of course an amazing pick for us, as we're going to be able to beat this one pretty easily with our Carbink. But we're going to see later on some damage output from the Rufflet onto the Carbink as well, which Rufflet, if you didn't know, is a very attack-weighted Pokemon, which has a ton of very strong hard-hitting moves. I actually have one build as well. It is way better than you might expect. Just because you don't see it doesn't mean that it's not really that great. People just run rather the Noctowl, but this Pokemon is actually really decent in terms of the damage output that it has. But Step Brave Bird here, of course, going to be resisted. This is still a no XL variant that has 1374 CP and has pretty horrific IVs here, as you can see on the side. And this Pokemon still can tank any kind of move without a problem. Here we have a ton of lag issues, but this is Go Battle League for you, so not really too surprising. But honestly, the bulk of this Pokemon is just wild. And I'm really happy that I built this one again. If you didn't know, if you want to get XL candy by walking this Pokemon, I think it's a 5-kilometer candy, like 5-kilometer walking buddy, where you get like 1 candy after 5 kilometers, which is like really annoying. But if you have a Pokemon that's above level 35, as a general above level 35, you're going to have the highest chances of getting an XL candy from walking this Pokemon, which is something that I would really highly recommend you if you want to walk this Pokemon. Just power it up to level 35. Stardust you're going to get eventually anyway, but this Pokemon right now, you need to get this Pokemon fully XL, and this Pokemon will be completely destroying everything, which is just so insane. Here we're going to see now the Toxapex. I actually kind of was curious at this point of time if we would be able to withstand the Toxapex attacks as well. I'm going to test this Pokemon in general a little bit in this video. It's not always the smartest idea to how I'll play that, but here, for example, I wanted to just know if we can take those moves pretty easily. I could have just went to my Trevenant that had also a pretty decent matchup, but look how little damage this was. This was a super effective Brine. It literally does like 30%, and again, this is a horrible IV version. This is not XL. This has currently the bulk, by the way, from around an Umbreon still, even though it is not even XL. And if you XL, it has like the bulk of a Bastion, which is wild, so like it's going to be even crazier. this Pokemon will be everywhere. This Pokemon will be everywhere. By the way, crazy spice by the opponent here, bringing a XL Marini fully built. Doesn't matter because you're going to win this game now anyway. But yeah, like this Pokemon going to be everywhere as soon as people are going to have access for that. Definitely try to walk with it. It is so worth it. Let's take a look at the next opponent here. We're going to encounter Carbink against Charizard. Perfect matchup for us. In comes now the Deoxys. I wasn't sure about the team, by the way. This is basically a variant of a team that I've been using for a long time, and it is still working out super, super well. This team is amazing. I think it might be even one of the best teams that you can build around Carbink for this meta right now, because here you're going to have the say-swap of the Medicham, going to be just neutral against a lot of Pokemon, especially also against flying-type Pokemon, thanks to the coverage of Ice Punch. We're going to have the Trevenant at the back, which a lot of people don't really expect anymore, but it's just super strong in the meta right now. There are so many Water-type Pokemon. It is wild, and as well, like Medicham being everywhere. And then we're going to have our Carbink in the lead to just beat those flying-type Pokemon. Also, if you didn't notice it already, we have our Rock and Fairy-type Pokemon. What are the charge moves again from a Sableye? Normal and Dark types. So Sableye, while it does still neutral damage with a fast move, all charge moves are going to be resisted on you. Even the foul play. This is something that the Bastion doesn't have as well. So the matchup against a Sableye is going to be so in your favor as well, which is just wild. Here you're going to see the Trevenant gaining a ton of damage from us as well, allowing us to now counter them down with our Medicham. And this is going to be it. You can just take any move. It is honestly, like, it's just insane. But yeah, if you enjoy the showcase here, and if you appreciate the work that I spent all my starters and all my rare candies onto this Pokemon, please leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. Would appreciate it, would support me. And also, I know that we spammed a lot of videos today because there are so many Shadow Pokemon. If you haven't seen them yet, I did a video about Shadow Garchomp, Shadow Golem, and Shadow Regirock already. So definitely check them out. Tomorrow we're going to have the single type cup. I already have a video planned for the top teams for that one as well, so stay tuned for that. The cup itself looks actually like a ton of fun, as well as I have already some pre-footage for this cup as well, which is going to be very interesting. Also, speaking of very interesting, we're going to see an Ursaluna here right now, and here we're going to see the scene, of course, which you saw already in the beginning, where we have a Porygon Z against us with the Carbink, and honestly, this is a super effective Solar Beam, and it still didn't knock us out. Yeah, the lock-on still knocked us out afterwards, but again, we have horrible IVs and we are not XL, and we still were able to withstand a Solar Beam from a Porygon. And if you didn't know, Porygon has a ton of attack. Like, this Pokemon is insanely attack rated, and of course, Solar Beam is the strongest Grass-type attack, and we were still standing after that. This Pokemon is just wild. Here we're going to see the Ursaluna. The only players here to go for the high horsepower and hope that I no shield, and they're going to go for the high horsepower, and now I'm going to be able to outspeed them and win this game. Luckily, they didn't have Ice Punch. With Ice Punch, the most likely actually would have been able to win this game against me. But like this, we will be able to win this one and say good games to the opponent. Let's take a look at the next opponent here. This was actually the first battle that I did against, like with my Carbink. It's going to be a Registeel. And honestly, this was most likely also one of my favorite matches because we're going to get completely hardwalled from the get-go, completely destroyed here, as you're going to now see the Pelipper coming in, which is going to take the Psychic, which is a mistake, my friend. This is a huge mistake, because after a Psychic, we are going to be able to farm them all the way down, or we're going to go for one charge move here in order to realign. They're going to actually let this move go through, as they wouldn't have got to a Hurricane as well, and we're going to see a Mew, which most likely is running Surf or something, so it would be a triple kind of answer for the Carbink, as all Pokemon would have some kind of coverage here, but maybe they're not running the move Surf. Let's take a look at this one. We're going to see the first move coming in through, and it's going to be the Flame Charge. They're not running Surf, it seems like. If you run Flame Charge, you're also running Wild Charge. Boom, still boosted and didn't do enough damage to knock us out. What a surprise. I'm not really shocked. It did not even have half of our health, so that's insane. Here, of course, we're going to get the attack drop immediately, but we can go ahead and go for one Shadow Ball against the opponent. And as you're going to see here right now, they're going to let this move go through, allowing me to go for a Seed Bump here right now. This seems to be a weird play, but I didn't want to get debuffed yet. And after this one here, I should be able to just farm them down. I can just shield this move up, farm them down, get the energy that I need to go for a charge move against the Mew. And even if they debuffed me there, I still would have been fine. But like this, we're going to be able to still go for the Seed Bomb, do enough damage usually to knock them out, but of course they're going to use their shield. And now, does this Wild Charge KO me? What a question. Of course, it doesn't even come close. This time around, they didn't have the boost, so it did even less damage. And Carbink is going to take this win from leading a Carbink into a Registeel. This is insane. Speaking of insane, this is going to be also an insane match because you're going to have an Altaria against you. What does Altaria want to do here? I have no idea. I don't think the Altaria has an idea either. But we're going to get the Lantern out here as well. And now it depends on what the opponent is going to try to do here. Either they go for the Thunderbolt or they're going to go for a Surf. If they go for a Surf, I'm forced to throw another charge move against them. If they go for a Thunderbolt, I can farm them down. They go for the Surf, which is the right play for them, forcing me to throw a charge move here, forcing me to knock them out. Going to be a very decent matchup now for me because we're going to encounter the Altaria, which we can still go for the Shadow Ball. So far, so much RPS to be fair, like we completely wall them, I'm not going to lie. But we can go back into the Carbink, in comes the Azumarill, and I make a huge mistake here. What I should have done here is I should have just shielded the first move of the Azumarill no matter what. Because it's fairly unlikely that they're going to run Hydro Pump on the Azumarill. Hydro Pump would be of course the hardest hitting move in general, but they're going to go for the Play Rough here right now. They're actually going to get me low enough that they can farm me down eventually, as well as they can go for a charge move here. But with this, I have the information that they definitely are not running Hydro Pump, which is good to know, as they would have went for the Play Rough otherwise. And like this, I'm going to still have my Medicham healthy enough to get to one Ice Punch, I guess, against the Altaria later if we need to. But I can still use a Shield against the Azumarill, which would be the hardest hitting move. And I can go ahead and go for the Moonblast. I don't think our Rock Slide would have done enough damage from this range, for sure not. We are not doing too much damage here because, of course, we are insanely bulky. But if you're insanely bulky, you can never have a lot of attack either. But here we're going to see now the Altaria coming in, and they can still go for the Moonblast. Oh, what a surprise, it does basically nothing. And we can farm them all the way down with them not being able to do anything. Next opponent, this is something where I actually kinda was mad about me because I knew how to play it right. Of course, Horrible Elite here because they have the move Drill Run. I think if you XL, you might be even able to still win this matchup, I wouldn't be surprised. But here I thought I had more energy advantage than I actually did here. Because this is the thing which you have with Medicham, which you don't, like with Venusaur, which you don't have with Medicham. Medicham for Ice Punch is 6, 6, 6, and then 5 fast moves, while for the Venusaur it's 6, 6, and then 5 fast moves. So while I have one fast move advantage here right now, the opponent going to be able to get to that next move just in time there. So here this shield was completely unnecessary because I don't get to the charge move anyway. So at this point of time, I kind of screwed this game up. If I just no-shielded there, I'm pretty sure I would have been in such a better spot because I would have more energy on my Trevenant, which would have been already very nice for me. But also I would have just had a general, just a little bit of a better position because right now, like what did the shield really do for me? Like it gave me some more counter damage onto the opponent, but that's basically it. So this was definitely my own mistake, but we're going to see the Rock Slide coming in here from the opponent, going to knock me out. I thought that it would need more fast moves as well. Again, my own mistake. But I can go for the Rock Slide. Is this enough to knock them out? It is not. I'm pretty sure actually I would have a little bit more attack as well if this would be XL. While you need a lower attack stat in general, you need 5, 15, 15 as your move, as your IVs, so you can even trade with a best friend already and you can still get the IVs for this Pokemon, which is nice to know. You still kinda get more levels in general. You see we are at 1300 CP or like 1370 CP, so it's not really crazy high for in terms of the CP. But yeah, we're going to now see the next game. We're going to see the Galarian Stunfisk in the lead. Again, horrible lead for us. We're going to be able to swap out into the Medicham and we're going to get out a Pelipper. Again, horrible matchup for us, but we can go ahead and go for the Psychic. And do they do the same mistake as the opponent previously? Of course they do. They're going to let this move go through. And this time around, they're actually going to make it even better for me as they're going to go ahead and go for the Hurricane, allowing me to just farm them all the way down because I know that they don't get to another one. In comes now, what are we going to see here? We're going to see the Galarian Stunfisk again. We can now go ahead and go for the Ice Punch spam. Gonna get them super low, and they seem to have something weak against a Medicham in the back. Let's see here. We're going to be able to go for another Ice Punch. It's still going to be a little bit difficult later on to maneuver around this one, but they're going to have to go for one Earthquake here, which is a huge waste of energy, but of course it's needed. It's going to be a Dartrix in the bag, which I find curious why they didn't. I mean, okay, yeah, I have the energy and Ice Punch would have been double super effective. I guess it does make sense, but now we're going to have the Dartrix against our Carbink, and as you're going to see here right now, this Rock Slide is going to get shielded. But even though they have a super effective move against me, they're spammier, and we have not the perfect IVs, we're still just able to farm them all the way down. We don't even shield here anything or whatever. We're still going to be able to farm down, have a Rock Slide stored. We can go ahead and go for that, get them low enough that we can farm them down with a Trevenant, and that's going to be it for today's video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. There are two videos on the screen right now. Check them out if you haven't already as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.